Well, hello there, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. This tutorial is something I never thought of building uh, until I was recently looking on some Minecraft suggestions forums, things that people want added to Minecraft, mostly because I am currently working on a new mod, and specifically it is about redstone. So I was looking at all the redstone suggestions people had, and someone had a suggestion for a redstone capacitor, which would build up current as you turn it, when you turn it on, it would slowly build up signal strength over time. And then when you turn it off, it fades out and slowly loses signal strength over time at a rate of 1 signal strength per tick on both ends. And I thought to myself, can't you already do that? And a bunch of people were supporting the idea. They all loved it. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you can already do that. So I went to work, and within 10 minutes I had this. So I want to show you guys what this does, in case the description wasn't fully clear. So your output is here, and for demonstration purposes, I wired up an input over here, but the input is actually back here. But all you have to do is wire up the input to wherever you want. So obviously I can have this in the front or in the back or wherever, as long as I lead a strong signal into that block right there. And when I turn this on, the signal over here fades in slowly rather than just coming straight on. When I turn this off, it fades out slowly rather than just turning off. Excuse me. And so basically, I guess you could call this a dual edge fader or something, or capacitor if you want. But yeah, so that's the idea, is when the signal turns on, it fades in the output instead of turning it on directly, and when the signal turns off, it fades out the output. And it's really simple, actually. The idea is that you have two comparator faders, and a comparator fader just leads two comparators into each other, which, since they maintain signal strength, in this case to the block, and then to that maintains the signal strength to that redstone dust back there, and then this comparator maintains signal strength here, you end up just losing this one signal strength per tick when it goes around. Or per cycle, I suppose, but close enough. And so that lets you fade it out when you turn the power off. But when you turn the power on, this bottom circuit just immediately turns on. So what we do is we make another version of this where we have that same comparator fader circuit here, only this one turns on when the input is off, and vice versa. So it gets the inversion of the input so that these two circuits are powered alternatingly. So when this one turns on, that one fades off, and when this one turns on, that one fades off. And then what we do is we take the faded value from this fader up here, and we just run it through this subtractive comparator, which subtracts it from 15 and sort of inverts the value. So rather than fading off, this will actually fade on as this fader fades off. I said fade a lot, I know it got confusing, but basically this will slowly turn off, and in the process, because it's being subtracted from 15 here, it'll make the output slowly fade on. And then this bottom one will just slowly turn off, but will immediately turn on. So then all we have to do is sort of designate that this top value should be used when turning on, and this bottom value should be used when turning off. And the way we do that is just by taking our input and running it directly into the output of this bottom circuit in subtractive mode. So that basically as soon as the input turns on, this bottom circuit is no longer used for output. It's just cut off completely. And we only use the top circuit, which, as I said, fades on. And then when you flip the switch, this will turn off, which will allow the bottom circuit to be used, and it'll fade off, because the top circuit will be immediately turned on, which getting subtracted from 15 means that this part will immediately turn off, and so if you only use the bottom value as it fades off, you get a fading off output. I hope that made sense. Let me show you how to build this. So it's actually quite simple. So the first thing you're going to need, by the way, you don't even need everything in my inventory here. We don't need that. We don't need that. The sandstone can obviously be any block. Don't need that. We do need a single torch. And now, in this case, I'm running the input from the front all the way to the back, so I'm using a torch to do that underground. And it literally is just a torch and then just a redstone line going from the lever into the torch. That's all it is. And obviously you can power this any way you want. You could even put the lever directly on there if you wanted, but yeah. So any blocks, just get a stack of them. You just need one torch. You need some redstone, which I don't know how much. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's something like 16 or 17 redstone. So not that much at all. The most expensive part of this is the fact that it uses so many comparators, but once you have access to nether quartz, you're pretty much golden. You need one of these blocks of redstone. And as I said, because I'm doing the redstone line on the bottom, I'm going to use 2 torches. You need 1 repeater. And you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. You need 7 comparators. So if I take this and just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and throw these away. So everything in my hotbar right now is all you need. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the bottom fader, and this is what fades the signal off when you turn the the input off. And for that, you just put a comparator, and let me try to line this up with the other one for appearances. Is it over here? Yeah. So you just put a comparator facing straight into a block with some redstone next to it, and then a comparator here facing away from the block, and then 2 redstone right here. And this is your basic fader circuit that will fade at 1 signal strength per cycle. And then we just need a way to turn this bottom part off when we want to fade on instead of off. So we just throw another comparator coming off of this line. Oops, not there, just there. Put it in subtract mode. And then you're going to want to run a repeater into the side of this. And then our input is going to be over here. So we just need to run a line from our input directly into this repeater. And the only reason I went around is so that it didn't get, mixed up with connecting to these lines or these comparators or whatever. So it does have to kind of go around just so it doesn't connect. Then we put a redstone torch here, a block above this, as Mumbo would say, a block up like this. And then we basically just build the same thing down here. So, or up here, I suppose. So we put the 2 redstone pieces like that. Comparator going into a block. And then a comparator here with some redstone here. And then, because we want this to be the fade on circuit, we do need to invert this because this circuit alone just fades out like it does at the bottom. So then we just invert this. I guess we don't need that. We just put a block of redstone here. And then a comparator right coming out here. Put that in subtract mode so that it will invert our signal from here, or subtract it from 15, so sort of like a a subtractive inversion rather than a multiplicative one. And then we need to carry this signal from the output down into our main output over here. And so our output will be this block. So we have that comparator pushing the output into there. And then we just need to carry a signal down. So we put a block up like that, a block down there, and some redstone on there. So the output of this circuit will go straight down into here. And then we don't want to lose any signal strength. So we put a comparator there to maintain signal strength, and then the redstone here. So this redstone will pick up the output from here. This redstone will pick up the output from here. And these two are basically mirror images of each other. And that's really it. You are done. So like I said, you can have your input be here, directly onto this block. You can push an input in with a repeater. You can push an input in with a redstone torch, which is what I'm going to show you. But this block has to be strongly powered. So what you cannot do is you can't just run a line like this into it. Even if you put the repeater here, even if you put the repeater right there, you can't do that, because then that signal won't actually get through to this block of redstone, or dust of redstone, and it won't get through all the way around here to this repeater here. So it does have to be strongly powered. So either put the repeater directly in, or put the input directly on this block, or do what I do and use a redstone torch to carry the signal. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then what we have to do is just make our redstone line to get to that torch so that we can control it from here. And this is again only if we want a lever right here. So we go down 2 blocks, and I'm going to go down 3 just so that I don't have to break the ceiling. And then just find where your redstone torch is, which I will probably break in the process, but it's okay. You can always replace it. There it is. So put that there. And then put this redstone torch back. And then all we have to do is drag the redstone line over, now that we know where that is. So we can close this off. We can close that off. And then we can just drag a redstone line in. And this is our input. Again, you don't have to have the input here. You can have the input wherever you want, as long as you strongly power that input block on the back. And in this case, I'm just going to power it with a lever. So click that, it fades out. Click that, and then it fades on. So yeah, no new blocks needed. It's pretty simple redstone. It's really just, like I said, a repeated version, a doubled version of this fader circuit that's kind of common. It's a standard fader circuit by now. And it's just a doubled version of that, and then just using a subtractive comparator at the end to invert the top. So yeah, and then I guess like having this repeater here is very important. So if you didn't think to put that repeater there, you could be in for some trouble. But for the most part, all you're doing is switching between fading off down here and fading on up here, depending on whether your input is on or off. And the fading on is just the fading off run through a subtractive comparator. So, and then it's just a matter of getting the outputs in the same place, which is just done by this block right here. So yeah, pretty simple. So I guess you could call this a redstone capacitor, or a dual-edged fader, or whatever you want to call it. But that is how you make it. So until next time, keep fading, keep redstoning.